Hey, Vappy, the fans are all wondering, what have you been up to for the past few months?
Really, they are? Well, a lot of things have happened, but to keep it short, let's just talk about the really important stuff. As you all know, my girlfriend Carmen Ryder and I had been living together in real life since February 20th of this year. We had so much fun together. We went to the barcade and to the comic shop pretty often. We watched a lot of stuff together, including Doctor Who. Carmen particularly liked the first episode of Unearthly Child, by the way.
That's the first episode of Doctor Who ever, VAP-Sketeers.
Sure is, Maureen. And Carmen got me to start collecting Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I actually have a pretty big collection of them now, as the comic shop we'd go to sold them for really cheap.
Wow, Vappy, why don't you show all the viewers your Yu-Gi-Oh collection right now, as if I don't already know?
Well, on September 3rd, after living together in real life for a little over 6 months, Carmen and I got evicted from our apartment. The official reason the landlord gave was that we messed up the room today. No kidding, he actually sounded like that. And he looked like a human version of Davros, minus the Dalek for an ass and plus one arm. Anyway, since he never really stopped by our room, I don't know how he would have even known if it was dirty or not. Personally, I think he just didn't like me and Carmen for some reason and just wanted us gone. But anyway, Carmen had to move back into her old house, and because my driver's license was expired at the time, I had to take a bus back to my old house. Of course, I couldn't take all my possessions with me on the bus. I just brought my laptop, tablet, phone, art tablet, some of my clothes, and a few other small things. All my other stuff was left back with Carmen, and she's been mailing it to me whenever she can. And of course, even though we were forcibly separated in real life, Carmen and I will always be together here in Videoland. She's the best girlfriend I could possibly have, and I'll always love her. Oh, that's nice, Vappy. Anyway, speaking of Videoland, why don't you show all the VAP-Sketeers your progress on Kirba? Well, most of them have probably already seen it, especially if they check my community posts, but sure.
For those of you who don't already know, Kirba is an acronym standing for Can I Really Be a Hero?
It's a comic written by Carmen and drawn by me.
It takes place here in Videoland, the world where every single fictional character ever created lives, and will eventually feature characters from, well, pretty much everything Carmen's into, as well as her own original characters.
Although so far, it's mostly featured the girls from HoloLive and Carmen's character Taurus. I really like drawing Kirba. It's a far better use of my time than that, in retrospect, really stupid fake cartoon Neutralization Squad series I was going to make. Trust me, you guys really wouldn't have liked that whole thing.
Anyway, Vappy, why don't you show everybody the art you've made over the past few months? Some of the VAP-Sketeers don't even know about your Twitter, your Pixiv, or your Barag.
Well, okay, but because I'm sorta paranoid about getting kicked off of YouTube if I get too lollytastic, I'll only show the safe for work pieces, with one exception.
Okay, Vappy, and what's the exception?
This picture of Kaneko from Yokai Watch. I've got it cropped, but if you know the kind of stuff I normally draw, you know what's cropped out. This picture is really important to me, because for a few months I hadn't drawn that much. I had done a few ballpoint sketches, and I had drawn some birthday art for Carmen, which I really can't show you here. And of course I had been working on Kirba, but I wasn't working on that much art, relatively. Then, on June 28th, I drew Kaneko, and something happened. Since that day, I have drawn a full piece of art nearly every day. And now I'm going to show you all the ones that won't get me kicked off of YouTube. Wow, that was great, Vappy. Thanks, Maureen. And if anyone's wondering, the reason for all the HoloLive art at the end there is because I've been taking part in Holoctober. That's an event where you draw a HoloLive piece for every day of October.
I think they got all that from the name, Vappy. Hey, why don't you tell everybody about the puppets?
Well, the puppets. They're one of the only good things about losing the apartment. I've always liked puppets ever since I was a little kid watching Sesame Street, and I've always wanted to incorporate them into my videos since I started this channel. But for a long time, I didn't have a good setup to film them, and I didn't feel confident in my skills. But I've always liked puppets, and I had a pretty big collection of them. Unfortunately, after Carmen and I got kicked out of the apartment, most of that collection had to stay with her for the time being. But when I moved back into the old house, I kept buying old puppets off of eBay, and I mentioned to Carmen, over Discord of course, that I'd like to do something fun for Halloween with some of the monster puppets I own. I wanted to do a live puppet show, but Carmen rightly suggested that I just do a video. That idea eventually morphed into the Puppet Halloween special that Maureen hosted.
You all watched that, right, VAPsketeers?
I'm sure they did, Maureen. And while I was making that video, I had so much fun I decided to make a bunch of other puppet videos. It turns out I'm really good at marionettes. And what's more, people seem to like watching me do them.
Hey, you should show the VAPsketeers your whole puppet collection. Well, at least the part of it you've got at your house. And show them how you made your puppet setup.
I'd love to. And if the VAPsketeers want to see that, I'll make that its own video. Well, I think that's all we've really got to say other than...
Hey, what about the next episode of VAP Talks Comics?
It's coming. I'm just trying to figure out how I can make it different from every other comics-related show on here. With puppets, especially marionettes, I don't really have any competition. But with comics, that canonically Crumb guy and the cartoonist Kayfabe guys, rest in peace, Ed, are a million times better at talking about comics than I am. I've got to figure out basically a gimmick that'll set my comic show apart from all the others. And I suppose that's the advice I'm going to end this video on. You've got to make the kind of things that only you can make. Well, bye for now, VAPsketeers. We'll be back in the next video.
Which will probably be another puppet thing. See you then!